Okay, welcome. In this video, we are going to look at a very critical function, that is Vlookup. Okay, Excel uh, has this one critical function which helps you to look up a specific value in a set of table array. Okay, now let us look on the sheet which has this data point. So this is EID, which represents employee ID, name, its status, active or inactive, job group designation, experience, and his salary. Okay, now let us say you want to look for a specific ID. Let us say I'm saying TR190, and in that you want to specifically look at a particular uh, so let us say his experience. Okay, now given that database is very much limited, okay, you can say that it is very easy task, and I can just look at his experience by just traversing my eyesight towards the right. But let us say if the data had been such big data point, okay, and now searching for TR190, it may not be so easy. So what I would normally do is I will say Control F, and then I will say TR190, and will hit enter. Then now once I have hit enter, I have found TR190, and then I will traverse right to see the experiences 190. Okay, now it is a very tedious activity if you want to look for multiple data points and refer to multiple uh, reference numbers for this search. Okay, let us say now I want to look for TU914 for his salary. So then again I have to go back here, TU194, and I hit enter. Okay, so sometimes you may end up entering data points which are non-existent. Okay, and so I'm saying 914. Now this data point is available, and for this I need to go to the right and check for its salary, which is 13,30,000. Now this is a tedious process, and Excel provides a wonderful application, a wonderful function, which is VLOOKUP. Okay, now let us first of all look at what VLOOKUP demands. Okay, so but before you actually begin using VLOOKUP, one important point that you should keep in mind, so that the entire VLOOKUP operation becomes pretty easy. Okay, that you select this entire range. Okay, and in this entire range you sort this entire range in the ascending order based on your primary key or lookup value. Okay, so now that is what critical thing that I have done. Now let us say I want to look for let us say I am saying TN339. Okay, that is what I want to look for. Now table array, if I want to define, it is from E5 to K14. So this value. Okay, so in this case it is E5 to K14. Okay, now I'm specifically interested in his experience. Okay, so I'm saying you should return 6 as a column. Okay, now specific to column, you need to remember this critical aspect, that if you select this data points like this, or data table like this, the column counting begins with first column as column 1. So if you want to get the entry in the column 1, then you should have written 1 as the index, which will not normally do, because we will naturally have access to EIDs for getting other data points. The second column is this, so on and so forth. So if we are looking for experience, the index becomes 6. So that's why I have entered 6 over here. Next what is that, whether you are looking for exact match or approximate match, it is suggested that you mostly look for exact match, at least as a beginner. Okay, so I'm looking for exact match. So if it's a exact match, the value over here will be false. If it's a approximate match, then the value over here will be true. Normally it is always the exact match you will generally look at this level or at the beginning point. I'm saying lookup value is TN339. then I'm using a table array. So table array is E14 to, so I'm just making a selection using the arrow keys, E5 to K14. Then I'm looking for 6 as a column index, and my lookup range is false, and I hit enter. So the value turns out to be 6.7 years. Okay, so that was the exact value that we were looking for. Okay, now let me take some other examples. So let us say, even if we end up let us see what if we end up entering a wrong value over here. Okay, and naturally you will see it is not giving you any answer. Okay, now somewhat I am trying to focus on what I said earlier. Okay, now if the value is not exact and I put true over here, okay, it will end up identifying a value which is the closest match. So in this case it turns out to be uh, the same value as you're looking forward to, which was 6.7. okay, but it may sometimes give you some wrong answers. That's why it is always suggested that you use a false over here and actually enter the exact values. Okay, so this is a simple example. That is how the VLOOKUP works. Now let us say I am putting in some other data points. Let us say I want to look at TF260's salary. So I am putting a 7 over here, and as usual I am putting it as a false. Okay, so I am saying VLOOKUP for what? T260 lookup table array is the same one which we had defined earlier, then column index is 7 and lookup range is false. So it is 2 lakh, sorry, it is 20 lakhs 100, 20 lakhs and 100 units. Okay, so that is the exact answer. Okay, now you can apply these techniques for a bigger pool of data points as well. Okay, so let us try that out on some other data points. Okay, now what I have done is, this is another set of data points where it refers to country specific data. So it is population growth rate, GDP, real GDP growth rate, and GDP at PPP, and unemployment rate, so on and so forth. Okay, now here is where I want you to identify some specific data points. Let me pick up. So those are population, then second one is birth rate. Okay, then the third one is, let us say, unemployment rate. Okay, now I want you to identify the value specific to these data points for these countries. Now what will be the usual process? You will go back here. First of all, you look at country, oh, Austria. Then I will go here and say Control F, and then you say Austria and hit enter, and then look for unemployment rate, copy paste it over here, so on and so forth. Now it's pretty tedious and long method. Okay, now it is better to go by VLOOKUP. Okay, so before we begin VLOOKUP, let us identify a couple of things. Okay, as usual VLOOKUP requires a lookup value, so this is our lookup value. Okay, the second entry, VLOOKUP demands. Let me just create it for you over here. Okay, so VLOOKUP, the first entry is, let me do it over here. Okay, the first entry is lookup value, so we already have lookup value over here. Table array, let me go back here, and table array will be defined by this entire range of table, right? And then the third value is the lookup index, okay, or the column index number. Okay, so for column index number I need to actually go back to data table and look for population, birth rate, and unemployment rate. So for population, my column index is 2, so I am putting 2 over here. For birth rate, the column index is 11, so I am putting 11 over here. And for unemployment rate, the column index is 7. Okay, and the last value is going to be false because we have given over here the exact matches. Okay, so I am beginning with it. So I am saying VLOOKUP, and then I am giving lookup value is this. Then where I'm looking for, so I'm going back here and selecting this entire range, right? And then I'm putting a comma. There is asking me the column index. The column index I have mentioned over here. Then naturally the last one is false, so I'm just putting in false. Whether you can also put a 0 over here. 0 is equivalent to false. Now I'm hitting enter. So I just want to cross verify if the answers are getting correct. So population for Austria, I think one mistake we have definitely done, which even if we get the right answer, we should correct it, which is 82 lakhs 5,533. The answer is correct. what we have filled or what we have not done is we have not organized the numbers in the ascending order. So let me correct that mistake over here by going over here and attend and getting the data in the ascending order. Okay, so this is Australia and this is Austria. Okay, so we are referring to this point and the answer is correct. So that is how we have got the answer. Okay, now very critical to remember that the data should be organized in the ascending order. It will help you in terms of making list of the mistakes. Okay, so let me go ahead, and now I want to do it for others as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this cell referencing little intelligently. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze column of this particular uh, cell, and then I'm going to freeze all the data points of this table array. Okay, and for Vlookup column index I am going to freeze the row. Okay, so that is how it is, and I'm just dragging it right and dragging it down. Okay, and making these numbers as percentages with one decimal places. Okay, and I'm just randomly going to check Netherlands birth rate. So I'm saying Control F, Netherlands. I'm going to look at birth rate 10.53. So it is 10.5, just to ensure it is correct. 10.53. Okay, now I'm going to look at Jersey's unemployment rate. Okay, so Control F. Okay, spelling mistake. Okay, unemployment rate for Jersey is 2.2. Okay, so it's 2.20. Yes, so I think the data points are getting correct. Okay, and you can extend it to whatever number of data points that you want. So let us say I go back here, or my boss calls me back and I pick up on this country. He talks to me about this Isle of the Man country, which I have not heard. I'm hearing probably for the first time, and I copy this over. All that I have to do it, drag it down. Okay, so it saves you a whole lot of time when doing the computations. Okay, so key things to remember is that data point should be in the ascending order based on what is the lookup value. Second key thing is pick up the values as exact matches. Okay, so let us say instead of Isle of Man I have just additional space over here, I don't get the values over here. So ensure that the data is as it is in the table array. And third critical point is that the column counting begins from the first column. So first column is the first, so the very beginning column is the first column. So keep that in mind and pick up the data points very efficiently from your set of data points. Okay, that's about it for now. Thank you.